Okay, so Eric, this question's for you. Where's Eric? Oh, hey, my name's Eric too. Yeah, so okay, do you know what a constructor function is in JavaScript? Okay, cool. Does anybody remember us talking about, or Nate talking about constructor functions? What's your name? Carlos. Okay, I heard you answer everything, Carlos. So we'll give this to somebody else. Yeah, go. Okay, capital letters. So that's a big deal. Cool. What kind of constructor function? Maybe house. Let's do house. Okay, so capital letter for the variable name, just to show everybody that it's a constructor function. Cool. Anybody else know how we build a constructor function? Cool. So I'm gonna use our keyword because it is a function, and then that's right. So maybe we'll have like number of windows and color of door. And then how do we? So I guess we should talk about what this function is going to do. Simply, like, yeah, I wouldn't overcomplicate it, but these are functions that are going to make objects for us. So they're blueprints. So let's say we want to make, who knows how many house objects? Maybe we're Zillow or something. This function's we can just call it, and it'll make those objects for us. So imagine any constructor function or class, which is why we're reviewing this, to talk about classes, is a blueprint for like the objects that we're trying to make. And so what's the keyword here yeah, cool, nice, Chris. So I'm gonna change the variable here just so we can keep the two sides straight. If we were doing an object, we'd do the colon for properties, but this is our constructor function, so we just say equals, and then we pull right from this variable up here, right? But usually, I mean, when I make constructor functions, I just use the same word, the same parameter up here as the property name, like that. But this is coming from the parameter, and this is the property name that's going to be on the object when it gets made. So let's say we want to add a method. So let's make an object real quick. Log. So we're going to log the object that is made when we pass for and red enter here. Ooh. Anybody see what I'm doing wrong?
I just know there's a spell or
I do have to say new. Who said that? Nice. Okay, so new is the keyword that I forgot. You can't just call the house function. I'm sure this code ran, but it didn't know what to do with it. When we say new, then our function is going to give us or return our new house object. And not only do we see the object, but we can see the constructor function that made it. All right. So this object, this constructor function can make objects with methods. So it's going to be the same syntax. This dot, I don't know, what do houses do? They shelter. Okay, so how could this dot shelter? I'm trying to make it a verb because it's going to be a method. And then and then we can just write a function. So a function attached to an object is a method, right? And we can just I don't know. They do shelter. I'm gonna make it more like business applicable and say, let's say sell. So this house sells. Let's just do an easy one right now. House is sold. So we'll still have that object, we'll have the method, and we can run that method like we just say, I'll break this up. You guys using const? Yeah, right?
Yes.
So home is going to be our new house. We could make like a neighbor's house and whatever house using the same constructor. But when we call its methods, we'll just call this function right here. We can even have a return in here so that we're not console logging twice. And real quick, let's talk about defaults. So this is a new syntax, but you can say is sold equals and give it a default. So we can say is sold false. So this is nice because if we just wanted to leave this at this, we can, but if we want to override the default, we can, oh, I guess true would be overriding it, right? Does that make sense? So let's look at the objects right now. Oh, I have to set up. This dot is sold. Oh, we're not console logging the So is sold is true when I manually put it in, but when I don't have anything there, it should default to false. So that's how you do defaults in a JavaScript constructor function. This right here, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to change the is sold to true. So that when we run the sell method, then it changes something about our object. So if we did home.sell here, we can hopefully see so it was defaulted to false, but we sold it, and so now is sold is true on that function. So okay, like I said though, this is the wrong way to give a method to a constructor function. And the correct way is through the constructor function's prototype. So if we have house, this is our constructor function. We reference its prototype, and we say add a new function. So all of this is the same. We just put it here outside of the constructor function itself. So this is the right way to give a method to a constructor function. But ES6 has given us what's called syntactical sugar. And when you hear syntactical sugar, know that it's like an easier way for humans to look at something else. So the something else is this. This is just the syntax. And class is the syntactical sugar. And its syntax is a little bit simpler. And that's why they implemented it. So class, house, that's all the syntax for starting it out. And then you might ask, well, how do we get its parameters in there? And we do that through the constructor function. So I guess, you know, the syntax may not be any more terse, but it's kind of broken up into kind of more into ways that kind of make more sense for us when we're working on it. So the stuff that we put in the instructor, the way we get our parameters into the constructor or into the constructor function, right, into our class, is through the constructor method. And we just pass them in here, and then we can just have these lines of code inside of that constructor method. Like that. And then instead of writing a prototype function or whatever method after the function, we can include it right in the class, which is nice. And under the hood, it's going to do this. It's going to do the proper way of setting up the method. So we can just take this cell stuff and put it in here. The syntax is a little different, where we don't have to use the function keyword. So we took this, and in ES6, when they're using class syntax, it'll look like this. So Nate will go over this again and assign something. He wants the main focus, though, to be the to-do list. And he said that a couple of you have finished it up. So I will also assign the CSS Zen Garden. But if you haven't finished the to-do list, find a partner. You guys are doing great. And knock that out. But then after that, have you heard about CSS Zen Garden? Okay. This is like if you're like still shaky on CSS and HTML, this is the project that'll like pad a lot of that out for you. I would say when you're working on it, don't get stuck on stuff for too long. Come and ask Martin or Alan or me or Nate or a classmate how to do something, but oh, there's too much CSS. There it is. So you're going to, this write-up right here kind of talks about strategy. Oh, nice. So you might want to read through it before you start on the project, or maybe start on the project and then hit it back up when you get stuck. But essentially, you're copying this page, and as precisely as you can. If you were submitting it in a school class, aim for like an A- or a B+ at least, right? So we're not looking for the exact same website, but it would be nice if things were generally the same. You can find what fonts they're using by inspecting it. So get comfortable with the console, with the developer tools. You will need to use the sources tab, because this is where some of our assets are hiding. They're here in 2.14. There's a font that you need in here, and then all of your images are here. So you can click on the images, and then right-click. You'll see it over here, and you can save the images to use in your project. The tricky part, though, is you got to make it responsive. So this sidebar right here, when it shrinks down, it's going to pop down all the way down here, that sidebar. So there's a few ways to approach that. I would use grid, because with grid you can make every single one of these a cell and control it manually with grid, CSS grid. But again, finish up to-dos first. It's kind of the more important project in general. The hard part about to-dos, you are practicing Axios, but the hard part is all the DOM stuff. So you'll run into that. You have questions, like it's just, I mean, you guys are doing great. I shouldn't have broken it up with a lecture about classes. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the back corner. Does anybody want to get their one-on-one done with right now? See that hand? Yeah, let's do it. Yep. And then it saves. Do you know where it saves?
I think it saves to documents soon.
Oh, okay. Documents. Right on.
Let's see. What's today? The 19th. So the third one down. Should be.
Should I rename this?
Yeah.
1350. Yeah, that's when I started, right? 150.
JavaScript classes or whatever you want.
What's this? What did I do? Oh, that's everything from today, huh? Right? This is. No, that's me. That's me.
One of them might be